Hello everyone, this is Cari for Redesign with Prima, and today I have some really whimsical and elegant Shadowbox ornaments to share with you. I had posted these on Instagram and YouTube Shorts, and you guys had asked for the tutorial, so here it is. We are going to start by using our casting mix to create our little sweet Alice-in-Wonderland inspired castings. It's from our Whimsical Holiday Dreams Decor Mold. It has so many cute little images in it. And I'm showing you now how to mix the casting mix. For this particular one, I wanted to show you a 3:1 ratio. So I did 90-30, so 30 water. The measurements are on the cups, so it tells you exactly how much to pour and how much to measure. And I decided to do this because I wanted to show you that it does make them stronger. It can, it can be done besides the 2:1 ratio. So it does set up faster, just word to the wise, but they are a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger. You can feel it. They're very lightweight also, and they take all kinds of mediums. But I left these little characters just in a plain, crisp white finish because I just wanted that elegance to shine through. So here I'm mixing really well. You want to scrape up the powder at the bottom of the cup to make sure that you get like a creamy, like a heavy cream consistency. And then you want to just start to pour into all of those little castings there in the mold. Be sure to mix in between pours if you can. Sometimes it's easier for me just to keep pouring, that's what you typically want to do, but it's important to stir the mix in between the pours just to keep that casting mix alive. It does start to set up relatively quickly, especially when you mix it the 3:1 ratio. So just beware of that. That's another reason why I didn't want to mix too much at one time. Now with the more intricate molds, you want to leave the casting mix in the mold a little bit longer. For some reason, it does take a little bit longer to cure in those little intricate details, just word to the wise. And what I like to also do is demold and then leave them sitting out just to cure a little bit longer. It does help. I live in a very humid area, so that's just my trick. I feel like if they're inside the mold, they do cure, but outside the mold, they cure just a little bit better. And you can see every little single detail on these little beauties. I just love them. They're so sweet. And if you get a little over pour, you can typically just kind of break those little pieces off with your finger. It's very thin, comes off easily. So now I'm showing the Ornate Legacy frames. I didn't show the casting mix in the frames this time because I've done that a couple times in some of my previous videos, which you can see here on the Redesign with Prima channel. So if you're looking for that, it's just basically the same concept. You pour the casting mix into the mold and there you go. So now I'm adding black gesso to prime them, and also I want that black finish. So black gesso is wonderful to use because it is a primer and you can use it as a color at the same time. The coverage is wonderful, and it does prepare your surface for other mediums if you wish to add other mediums like paints or waxes, for instance. Now I'm spray sealing all of my little characters with a clear sealer. I do the front and the back, which is easier for me. And now I'm going to take my backs, and using the soft gloss gel, I'm going to add them to book paper. I did add heavy gesso in white to the backs just to prime them, and you can see I've used it for something else and I cut them up. I will add a file in the description for you guys for the backs and for the little frames, which you'll see how I put the shadow box together. So you want to make sure that you apply it nice and evenly and then add it to that book paper, and then I allow it to dry. Once it's dry, then you can move on to the next stage. I like the book paper. I thought it just looked elegant. I think music sheets would also look really pretty, so that's another choice. And there it is all cut out. You can kind of see what it looks like there. So I use like an MDF. I think it's a 3mm MDF So I use something a little sturdy. You can use chipboard for this. You can get a thicker chipboard and still get the same effect. Now, while it's stuck to the paper, it did dry, I'm going to paint the backs in the same black gesso to prepare them. It's easier for me. It doesn't get my fingers all dirty when I'm painting these. I can just hold onto the paper, and I'm not too worried about getting a little bit of that black gesso on the paper because I'm just going to cut it away anyway. So I do this to all the backs for all the frames. So the ovals, the squares, and the small ovals and the small squares. Once I'm finished painting the gesso on here, I let it dry, and then I do seal it in the same fashion. So you might as well seal it as well. While it's stuck to the paper, again, you can hold it down and, move on after that once everything's dry. I use the soft gloss gel to seal the backs with, and it works beautifully. So it not only works as an adhesive, but also as a sealer too. And I'm applying everything with my favorite Finnabair artist brushes. I love these brushes. I can't say enough about them, but they just wash so beautifully and they work beautifully. So I'll also have a link to these in the description as well. So I'm just using my craft mat and a really sharp craft knife to cut away the paper. Now you want to make sure that everything is really dry at this point, otherwise the paper won't cut away very nicely or evenly, and it'll make kind of a mess. So I do this for all the backs of all of my ornaments. So what I did here is I took the same MDF and I cut out little frames using my laser engraver. You can do this with your cutting machines also. Well, maybe not as thick of a material, but chipboard for sure. And like I said, chipboard will work just fine. And I will include the file for you for the frames as well. So it's basically the backs, but I just cut out the middle of the backs. And I layer 2 of these for each ornament. So 2 square frames on the square backing, 2 ovals, and so forth. And I'm using that soft gloss gel to adhere all these little frames together. I didn't worry about painting them because you won't see the front or the backs of these once they're glued down. So just the sides, which you can touch up once the ornament is put together. So again, I'm using the soft gloss gel to adhere the frames together, and it's okay if a little bit seeps out once you kind of sandwich them in place. I just take my finger and I go around the edges and just wipe away the excess so there's no bumps and it's smooth, because I'm going to use the soft gloss gel to seal everything with anyway. Now it's time to attach my frames to my prepared backs, and I'm just using a super glue gel. So it's a 2-part system. It works really well for me and it attaches almost immediately, as you can see. So I go through all of the ornaments. I did 2 squares, 2 ovals, 2 large, or maybe 1 large frame, and a couple of the oval frames too. And you can see just how easy it goes on. You can also use E6000 or Gorilla Glue, like they're really strong adhesive too, so that will also work. And I just center them there right onto the frames, and there you go. You have these cute little shadow boxes. Now I'm adding our decor wax called Black Gold. It's a Finnabair wax, so it's got gold in it, but also a little bit of a black shimmer to it as well. So I wanted to add just a little bit of, the gold here and not have it overwhelming, because I like a lot of that black to show through. And I'm just using my brush just to add it to the entire front of the frames and the backs as well. And I'm not too worried about being so even. I think that if they're a little bit uneven and kind of vintagey, it looks really cute that way, but you can certainly do whatever you prefer. You can use a regular gold wax or a colored wax, anything that you like, even red. I think for Christmas that would be really pretty, but I just love the simplicity and the elegance of these with that wax detail. And one thing to note is I did seal with the soft gloss gel, and then I went over with the wax. So wax is always last. You don't need to seal the wax, just an important note. So That's kind of nice, and it saves you a little bit of step and it adds elegance at the same time. Now I'm ready to add my little whimsical characters. For the bunny, I did snap off his legs. I put him inside because I thought he looked so dapper inside that little oval frame. So I did that just so he could fit, because otherwise he wouldn't fit in any of these frames. And I'm just using the same gel super glue to apply all of the little castings to the centers of my ornaments. It was really easy, it goes pretty quickly, and also you want to make sure that you try to get it as centered as possible, as quickly as possible when using this kind of glue. Like I said, E6000 might be a good option. You could even use a glue gun too. It might just be a little bit messier though. So I'm adding the teacups, I'm adding the rabbit, I'm adding Alice and the Queen, and there's some really adorable stockings inside this this mold, the Decor Mold set. I just love how they look together. So I placed 2 of them inside the large rectangular frame, and then the other characters for the ovals. And then, like I said, there's so many little things that come with this mold, so you can really get creative with it and do all the characters and do all of these yourself. They're really cute and fun. They're classic, but I thought whimsical and elegant at the same time. So now I just decided to add some little greens and some berries to the tops of the frames, and that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just, again, using that super glue just to adhere everything together. I think that the pop of green and red really added a little bit of color and elegance that it needed, and it keeps with that, you know, the feel that I was going for. So for the large rectangular frame, I glued them to the front, but I decided for the oval frames, I would glue the greens and the berries to the backs. I thought they looked just prettier because I didn't want to cover up all those really intricate, pretty details on the front of the oval frames. So I hope that makes sense. So I do turn them upside down and glue them to the back. And as you can see here, I forgot to add the black gold wax to the back of this ornament, but don't worry, I went ahead and glued these down and then went back with the wax after. Sometimes, you know, you miss one when you're making a lot at one time. And that's it. I just used that super glue and just put them right onto the backs. And there was room because it's got that little lip there from the Shadowbox. So for the berries on this one, I decided to glue them to the front of the frame, and then the little wires kind of hang out the back. So once the glue is dry, just go back and snip off those extra little wires that are hanging off back there. But you can see, yeah, right there. So I just snip those off once the glue is dry, and they look so pretty. So I didn't add berries to the small ones. I thought it was just a little bit too much. I think just the greenery is perfect for the small ones. Now I took some organza ribbon and made bows. So I made the bows ahead and glued the bows onto the ornaments. And then I take the same ribbon and make a little hanger with it. So I do glue the ribbon to the back, so I think it looks really sweet that way. And again, it doesn't cover up any of the details in the front. And I love how like that ribbon, that soft ribbon, just kind of peeks out from behind and looks really soft and elegant. And here's the little hanger. It's just a piece of that same ribbon, just made into a loop and then glued down. And there's the backs. So you guys love to see the backs, I've realized that. And if you have any questions about anything that I've done today, please let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And all of the product details and links will be in the description for you as well. If I miss anything, let me know. And again, I'll put those files in there for you if you're interested. like I said, you can print them out and cut them out yourself, or use your cutting machines, or if you have a laser engraver, that even works great too. Or try to find a friend that might have one nearby. A lot of people have them now, so there's also companies that will cut things for you as well, so that's kind of fun. And here's the final look. I just love how these came out, and I think if you gave them as a set, as a gift set, that these would be so treasured by anyone to receive them. And you can even do your own little Alice in Wonderland little whimsical mini tree, or add it to a large tree, whatever you prefer. But I just love the final look of these and how they came out. And I do have a part 2 using this set. If you want to see it, let me know in the comments. I did a little bit more of a classic look, so I'm kind of excited to get that video done for you too. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very great day.